months alone, we've gotten 70 LOIs out from our clients. Ryan Cash at the back there that's filming is responsible for 50 of those in the last 8 months. 9 of our clients are currently under LOI. We got another 9 negotiating LOIs as we speak. And we have a 20x industry close rate. So about me, Kevin gave you a little intro, but I am a 5 times founder. I have the battle wounds to show it. We're all wanting to buy businesses because we know how hard 0 to 1 is, but I can't seem to get away from it. I was a business consultant and also lecturer over at the Macomb School of Business in Austin, Texas. And I raised $3 million in 5 days over Labor Day weekend to acquire a business. I'll tell more of that later. Are we going to be able to get the slides down here on the front? No. Okay. I'm going to keep turning around. All right, strap in. I'm going to make you work. I want you to get your pen and paper out because this is going to be an active session. It's the beginning of the morning. You have some energy. You got some coffee. Get pen and paper out. Let's go. 3 questions you should ask yourself before you start your search. So we're talking deal sourcing 101. That means you're at the beginning. I'm going to assume all of you are doing this for the first time. And you're here because you want to learn how to start your search. And I'm going to disrupt a little bit of the noise that you've been hearing on the internet, okay? So expect me to challenge you a little bit today and make you work. I'm going to tell you 2 real client stories to kick us off. These are real deals, real clients, okay? Client 1, we found him an off-market business that had, it was an HVAC business, stable and growing revenue, $750,000 in SDE. He was able to get that under offer at a 3x multiple. This was in those glory days when the owner could hold the license and a percentage in the SBA loan without personal guarantee. And the owner agreed to that. He was an awesome owner too. Loved our client. Everything was going his way. He was like obsessed with ice, this weird thing, and it even had cool in the name of the business. And then just one point, he just walked away. None of us could figure out why. And the owner himself said, you know what? I just don't think he's ready. Buyer number 2, she loved woodworking. And we found her a custom cabinetry business, over $1 million in SDE, 3.3x multiple. The owner was lovely, kept agreeing to things that would make the deal more comfortable for her, got the term sheets. She had quit her job to do the search, which I advise against, by the way. I do not think you should do that. Puts you in a place of desperation. Unexpected tax bill hit. When she got those term sheets, the numbers started feeling a little bit more real than they did in theory. She walked away. What was wrong with those deals? What was wrong with those businesses? That's what we focus on, right? We're looking at the businesses and figuring out what's wrong with it. The deals weren't the problem. Those were great businesses. The lenders and the team, there's a couple of people that have worked on these deals in this room. We couldn't figure out why. So I started getting obsessed with what is it when you get everything that you want and people still walk away. Learned this stat from my friends over at Baton who have thousands of data points. 98% of people who say they want to buy a business never do. That means 2% actually buy a business. It's not a deal flow problem. There's 47,000 businesses on Biz Buy Sell right now. So what's going on? What's the problem here? Is Clint Fiore here? Anybody seen Clint's transformation lately? I should have put a picture of Clint up here. Being a business owner is the hottest club in town right now. Everybody wants in. Everybody wants to buy a business. And this reminds me of my startup days. I used to help thousands of startups through the process. And I'd have people come to me in my community year after year telling me that they were starting a business and they had this idea and they were just researching and thinking about it, but they didn't actually do anything to start that business. But it was like the hot thing to be an entrepreneur, to be a founder, right? Now we're seeing that in business buying. This is the hottest club in town. Everybody wants in. And you got people like Clint and Jackie who have the deal that you want to get into. And you need to prove to them that you are ready and able to get into the club, right? This isn't just like the ropes open. Oh, hey, you want to buy something and spend some money. It's not how it works. Buying a business, going through your search, is like an Iron Man, right? And what most people are doing is they're turning up completely untrained for what is going to be the most harrowing experience of your life if you actually get to the finish line. If you're searching to buy a business, if you want to buy a business, this is not something you can do casually, right? You can't show up at the Ironman untrained. How do you think that's going to go? We just saw a picture last night of somebody that died at the CrossFit Games, right? Obviously, hopefully, we're not losing lives here, but it's not a good strategy. The internet is telling us that business buying is one of the greatest things ever, and you can skip off happily into off the beach and sit there while cash just like lands in your bank account. That's what business ownership is like. There's a reason why in the movies they don't show us what happens after they get married. Right? Why do we never see what happens? It's just happily ever after. I have not met a single business owner that has not had like the most crazy experience and heart-wrenching things that have gone through it. You don't buy a business and it's just like, oh, cool, this is all good. You're going to be challenged and tested in ways that you've never experienced before, whether you buy a business or start a business. Business ownership is an absolutely crazy thing to take on. So that brings us back to the question of what was wrong with those deals? And then you got to ask yourself, am I actually ready to be a business owner? So get your phones out, scan that code. You're going to find out right now. There's a 20-question assessment that you can skip through. And I want you to answer those questions honestly as who you are now, not who you aspire to be. So just click through, first instinct, be honest with who you are in those questions, not who you want to be. And at the end, you're going to get a little result on whether you're ready to be a business owner. And I'm going to talk through what it means in a minute. Looks like we're having a few moments. Very serious. We're taking this seriously. First person to finish, put your hand up. All right, I'm seeing some heads up. Are we finishing? We got some results. All right. Cool. So screenshot those results. We're not asking you for emails, so make sure you screenshot it if you want to save them. But I'm going to talk through. Kevin and I were actually going through this in our prep call, and he completed the survey. So I actually have Kevin's right here. So Kevin, what do you do for a living? I think everybody knows you, but what's your profession? What's your business? Okay, Kevin is a lawyer, right? So there's different traits that we want to see in owners. Kevin's got 100% and very strong on a lot of those. But when it comes to being a risk taker, do we want our lawyer to be a super big risk taker? No. Okay, thank you. Yes, give me some head nods here. Do we want them to be totally okay with ambiguity? Is that what you want your ETA lawyer to do? No, absolutely not. So I loved this profile that I got from Kevin because it's like across the board, he is wired to be an ownership, growth mindset. The fixer instinct is amazing because that's what you want in your ETA lawyer. When a challenge comes up, they're going to help you figure out how to fix it and overcome it. But there's other things in here that like I don't want with this person. So regardless of what your results are, that's how you're uniquely wired, and some things are good and suited to you. So you can start asking yourself, where did I score on these areas? And I'm going to explain them in a second. And where can I start working on? So the theories behind this was I have these great people who have the money. We found them the perfect deal. The deal's going well. There's nothing wrong with it. They say they want this, and yet they decide not to move forward. This happens all the time. Hands up, service providers, lenders. How many of you have worked on a deal that was going great and the buyer just walked away and they were a first time buyer? Yeah, okay, it's frustrating. You put in all this work and then they just decide, oh, no, not for me. And I was talking to a mentor of mine, Darius Mirshahzadeh. He's scaled businesses to billions, super impressive guy. And I'm telling him this in my early days, and he's like, you need to check out Gino Wickman's book, Entrepreneurial Leap. And in that, Gino Wickman, who's the founder of EOS, which is an amazing operating system to plug into businesses, he's worked with probably tens of thousands of businesses. He outlines 6 traits that you need as an entrepreneur. And I was listening to this book and I'm like screaming at everyone. I'm like, yes, yes. Some of these things aren't good traits necessarily to have when you have friends and family that are not wired this way. For example, visionary. All of us want to be the visionary. You know what you do on vacations when you rent an RV and try to do like a 3-day weekend with your partner and you're like, how much are we spending on this RV? Wait, what's the ROI? If I buy an RV and then I rent it out, how much am I going to be making? That's how I spent my 3-day weekend with my boyfriend renting an RV, trying to figure out what was going on with the business. I can't unsee it everywhere, right? And you need that when you're an entrepreneur, when you buy a business or when you start it, because somebody has to see what the potential is and where you're going. There's other things that are really important. Like, do you have the ability to keep going when it sucks? Because it's going to suck. I don't care what business you buy. I don't care how long your search takes. Last year, I was here, they're saying 2 to 4 years you should lock in for your search. You work with us, it's going to take 12 to 18 months. That's real. I don't have a community to sell you, so I'm going to give you real talk today. Ambiguity tolerance, uncertainty tolerance. How are you when you don't have 100% of the information? This is the space that most people fall down on. They need 100% of the information to take the biggest risk of their life. And in business ownership, you never, ever get that. 60% at best. And you have to make a decision and know that all of your team's livelihoods are on the line, your family's home if you took out an SBA loan. Do you have a growth mindset? Are you a person that, like, when challenges happen, you think, what can I do to get better? As opposed to, man, the whole world's against me. There's certain things that you need to be able to be successful at this. And I can tell you, probably every owner in the room never thinks that they're successful no matter what they do. Only 3.7% of adults in the US are business owners. Okay. This is not a common thing, and it's for a reason. There is absolutely no shame in a paycheck. In fact, I dream some days that I would be able to be okay getting a paycheck and then go on my vacation and just let vacation be vacation instead of thinking, where's my next paycheck coming from? How are my teams getting their next paycheck? There is no sleeping. There's no, like, well, there is sleeping, but there's no time off. There's no not thinking about your business. And there's so many things and problems and challenges that come up, and you are the one that has to solve them. You are the one that has to keep going. Chris and I were just talking behind the stage, and like every day we ask ourselves, like, what the fuck am I doing? That's not for everyone, and it shouldn't be. So you really need to ask yourself, are you wired for this? Because I think there's this idea that business ownership is this escape from something. And if you're running away from a job you don't like, a boss that sucks, right? That to me is like you're running towards the grass is always greener on the other side of business ownership. But there's some of us that are in pain if we aren't driving, if we're not building. I'm one of those people that I'm in pain if I don't have a business to run that I can build. And there's a lot of pain that comes with that. Every single trauma that I have suffered, all of my shit, it comes up. I have to face it every day as a business owner. Most people don't want that, nor should they. So I've been really obsessed with the identity shift that happens for people when they become a business owner, the identity shift that needs to happen to become a business owner. And the people that we serve and that we want to help are those owners that are trapped in employment. And you know who you are because every day you're in the coffee shop, you're in the business, and you're thinking like, what business could I start? How can I do this? I need to drive. Maybe you started lemonade stands or a paper route or like mowed lawns when you were a kid. You always got something. You maybe started a business. We're in pain when we're in employment, not because so and so sucks and I don't know how to set boundaries, so I keep answering my phone late at night. That's some work you need to do. You know what I mean, though. And there's not many of us that are wired this way. So the question you need to ask yourself before you start looking at businesses to buy is, are you truly wired for this? Are you up for the suck that's going to come during your search and after? Every single person I talk to that's bought a business, I'm like, how's the J curve going? Even if they keep revenues stable, they still feel it for 2 to 4 years afterwards. Find every person that's bought a business in this room and ask them if they just skipped off into the sunset after they bought it. It sucks, but it's also one of the most gratifying things you'll ever do in your life if you're wired that way. So the next thing you need to do is stop scrolling and start matching to businesses. Okay. So here, get your pen and paper out, draw a middle line down it. I want 2 columns. Column A, start writing down your deal box right now. Just real quick, rattle it off. What are the things that you want in a business that you are buying? What's important to you? What's the deal box that you're going out into the world and looking for businesses? Make money and profitable. Okay. Yeah, that's a basic. Anyone else want to shout out some characteristics? I like this. Let's get interactive. What's important? Revenue size. Okay. High customer retention. Okay. Good. Good. These are good deal boxes. Here we go. Column B. Now I want you to think about your unique superpowers. What is something you are good at that your friends know you for? You light up when you're in the right work environment or when you're in the right thing. For me, this weird thing where I can see into the future and every scenario and everything that we could possibly do. So I'm really great at strategy and kind of thinking ahead. It's also an affliction because when we try to go on that RV trip, I'm like, where are we stopping? What's going to be in the RV? What if this happens? What if the power goes out, right? I can't just chill. Another superpower I have is relationships and EQ and kind of sensing where people are at. Hello, childhood trauma. I'm hyper sensitive, right? And now it's my superpower, and I'm really good at picking up where people are at emotionally and how we can help them through that. I love educating people. I love pulling out what people didn't know was in themselves. So when I know these things about myself, what does that tell me, right? So what are your superpowers that people are like, you're just so great at this, or like I'm really good at relationships, I'm really good with numbers. Anybody want to call out your superpower? Brian? Operations. What about operations? What are you good at? Okay, so you see how everything configures together and how it can be easeful. Wonderful. Now I want you to go back to your deal box and I want you to star every characteristic that you wrote down that you have personally had a conversation with a broker or a seller to vet and test, right? Because your deal box is a theory. So, what of those assumptions have you tested with a real conversation? Question mark for everything you heard was what should be in your deal box. And you haven't had a conversation. We're not counting reading Sims here either. That's research. Real vetted conversations where you looked under the hood on a business. Guessing there's probably more question marks on most of your deal boxes than there are stars. Yeah, fair to say. Okay. I like the head nods. You're giving me some energy here. Cool. Um, that's okay, right? Like you're doing this for the first time and there's all this information that we hear of like make sure there's not a lot of customer concentration and stable growing revenue. I get probably dozens of people contact me every week to work with us. They send me their deal boxes. Searcher one, services company, 500 to 900 STE, repeatable customer base, established operations and team, owner open to transition support. Service business, strong operational components, generating 600 to 2 million in SDE. Services, 250 to 750 SDE, stable cash flow and strong fundamentals, operational infrastructure, turnkey businesses. Anyone noticing a pattern yet? Could you pull any of those people out of a lineup? They all look pretty much the same to me. I could probably rattle off most of your deal boxes now. Over 500 in SDE, stable growing revenue in existence for at least 5 years. Recurring revenue, repeatable revenue, owner out of the day-to-day. Sound familiar? Are you all exactly the same person? Anyone? Head nods. Give me some head nods. No, thank you. Okay, so what's going on with your deal box then? Why are y'all searching for the same thing? I know you're not the same person. Well, you go to a broker and they're like, what are you looking for? And as a first time searcher, you're like, I don't know, but I got to say something. So let me pull some stuff off the internet. It is a messy calibration process when you go through the search because what you should be doing is taking everything that you think you want in a business and going out and stress testing it and iterating on it and calibrating on it. And you need to do that time and time again to actually learn what will be a good fit for you. The deal boxes you all have is the equivalent of coming to me and saying, I want a 6'4", blonde, blue eyes, has a trust fund, works in finance. Somebody did the stats on that. It's like 0.000004% of the population. You all want the same businesses that are in very small supply and high demand. What you should be doing is rather than looking for that unicorn, looking at yourself and figuring out what buyer am I? What owner am I? So that I can go out and find that person. Most people don't actually want to marry the guy that has the trust fund that works in finance because he's a dick. So, me as a matchmaker, when you come to me and say to that, I'm like, okay, but here's a 5'10" brunette with the same sense of humor and values. I think you guys should get along. Why don't you have a conversation? Your business, you have probably already looked at. You just scrolled past it because you're looking for the unicorn instead of figuring out who you are and becoming the buyer you need to be a match for that business. Is this landing here? Okay. Probably some oh crap moments. Match or mismatch? How does the deal box reflect who you are and what your superpowers are, what you're going to be good at, what environment you excel in? Some people hate remote work, right? I don't want to go ride around in a truck every day. I like remote businesses because I can seal myself off from the world and do my strategy work. Put me in a cubicle and I want to die. How are you looking for businesses that reflect that? Why do you want to do this? What does your life look like 10 years from now? And how does a business fit into that? Because when you sign the SBA loan, that's a 10-year commitment you're making. 10 years. We don't even sign up for jobs that long. And you're putting your family's house on the line. You want to stop scrolling and start matching. And you do that by figuring out what owner and buyer you are and looking for that. So, question 2 you should be answering for yourself is, what's my match? Kevin, I don't have a timer. How am I doing on time? All right, cool. We're on time. So, I've got my traits figured out. First, I need to really get real with myself and ask myself if I'm wired for this. Watch all of Michael Girdley's failure videos and say, one of two things is going to happen. Like, yeah, I want to go through this. I want to figure it out. Or like, oh God, that sounds like too much. Like, let me go back to my amazing W-2 with benefits that I can like put money in my 401k. Then figuring out what's your match. But now what? Okay, now I've figured out what I think I should be as an owner. I'm ready to go out there and start testing this in the market. How many deals do you think you need to scan of those listings to get one signed LOI? Shout out some numbers. 500. Ryan's our only participant today. Come on. 1,000, 100. Okay, that's just going through all those 47,000 listings just on BizBuySell. That's not all the other platforms. We have 100 sources that we go through on market. How many deals do you need to match? So when you scan, you're like, okay, this deal looks like it has all the qualities that I'm looking for. How many of those matches do you think you need to find to get one signed LOI? 50. 20? Okay, 20 deals matched. Anyone else? Now, how many deals do you need to have a conversation with the broker and the seller, do your financial modeling on, get serious to get a signed LOI? Have serious conversations where you're actually looking under the hood. 5 conversations to get one signed LOI. Okay. How many LOIs do you need to send to get one signed LOI? This is for my first timers in the room. 3 to 5. Okay, so 3 to 5. And you said, how many deals do you need to scan to get that 3 to 5? Do you need to scroll to get the 3 to 5? 500. Okay, that's the funnel we're looking at. Hold on. These are real numbers for our clients, okay, that my professional team is doing in order to get that. On average, we have to go through 10,000 listings. We have to match about 500. We need to sign 152 NDAs, review almost 100, have serious conversations with 23, send 4.3 LOIs to get one signed. That's the kind of volume that you need. This is competitive. Look at how many of you are here. The internet has caught wind of the hottest club in town, and most of you are signing a couple NDAs a month. Now, I said signed LOI. That doesn't mean close. Now 3x that number, because on average, you're going to go through 2 to 3 signed LOIs before you actually close on a business. About 30,000 deals scanned, 1,300 of those should match your awesome criteria. 650 NDAs signed to get about 300 SIMs you should be reviewing, 81 serious conversations, 9 to 14 LOIs sent to get 2 to 3 signed to close. And I told you that I think you should stay in your job while you do this. This was not set up for you to win. This is tough. How are you supposed to do this when you work full time? Now, most of you come to me and say, I want to get under offer in 3 months and close within 6. Even if you work with someone that can help you, this is your first time doing something that people get MBAs for, okay? It should take time. If you're signing a multi-million dollar personal guarantee and putting your home on the line. So extend your timeline first and foremost. And then you need to start taking this seriously and treat it like something real if you genuinely want to do it. You have to stay in the race long enough. And you have to play to win. This is Lady Ibida. We created her when we realized that we had hundreds of data points on every single client that we go out and look for matches. And one human couldn't remember all of those. So we started developing AI over a year ago to go out and scan thousands of listings every month to match to hundreds of different parameters on our clients. And so I always pictured like the lady from the Oracle and the Matrix. And I was like, well, if you can tell anything by my brand, she's got to have sequins, pink, and leopard print. This is who I picture. But Lady Ibida, we've installed it into our process, which is like we've set up like a manufacturing process. We have a different person on each one of those stages on the line that's an expert at it. And she has cut down the sim wastage. When we had a human at the front line scanning those deals against all those parameters, we were throwing out 75% of the sims that we were getting. Now it's down to 25%. Deal velocity, write this down. Single biggest factor in whether you win or not. Can anyone tell me what you think deal velocity means? Ryan? How many deals do you look at? Okay, good guess. Quickly, yes, from LOI to or NDA to LOI quickly. Exactly right. It's time. It's the velocity at which you're moving things through. So now I've shown you the volume. And then on top of that, to win, you have to do it as quickly as possible. We analyzed 50 LOIs that went out from our team, what made them win, what made them lose. And it was a lot of different factors. So first of all, my real estate folks, stop going in 10% under asking. You're just going to lose. 10% over asking on average is what gets it closed. Now you can structure creatively, and please go to the financial modeling session tomorrow. It's amazing. There's things you can do to protect your downside, make sure it's SBA fundable, and also be competitive. But time and the difference between the winning and losing was only 5 days. So most of you take 2 to 4 weeks from seeing a deal to trying to get on a call with a broker. You maybe get in front of a seller and then you go and you're like, now I'm going to start my financial modeling and figure out whether I want to put an LOI together. Oh, cool. I've never done this before. Let me pull up Kevin's template and see if I can plug it in myself and figure it out. And also I got to do financial modeling, which I've never done before. By the time you even get that together, that deal's gone. So what you need to get is a system that allows you to move at speed. You need to get yourself operating at a level where like nights, weekends, every single day, you are working your pipeline and moving things forward at speed, because speed not only gets you first mover advantage, it conveys confidence to that broker, right? To that seller. Because if you're moving quickly, they're like, okay, this is someone I'm willing to bet the only paycheck I'm going to get this year on. Make no mistake, brokers are vetting you. Everything you do signals whether they think you can close or not. That factors into whether you get chosen. Screenshot this, because I'm not going to go through it in detail, but some components of a winning system that you want. You want to be scanning as many deals as possible. And for my sales and marketing folks in the room, you know how important a funnel is. Top end funnel, moving it through. Layer on that, this is your first time doing this and you're learning the process and you're iterating as you go through. So you need even more volume than somebody that's like private equity and knows what they're looking for, right? Organized pipelines, make sure you're tracking everything. That spreadsheet is not going to be enough, right? There's now thousands of deals moving through. Make sure you have a good system. You want a professional email and buyer profile that shows you, right? not the such and such holdings and blah, blah, blah ventures. You're not a fund. You're you, and you're awesome, and you have your own superpowers. And I tell you what, brokers would rather hear that from you. Sellers would rather hear that from you and see that you're doing your homework, you're moving fast, and you've got good teams behind you. Templates for everything, set up automations, make a repeatable process for yourself to vet and get a yes, no quickly. When you set up that deal box, that's what you should be using to vet. Don't get shiny object syndrome. And then you want a submission process that's going to help you win and is fundable. This event is going to teach you so much. This is the event that I must go to every year. Kevin, Tara, the whole SMBash team, they put together such good tactical stuff. So please take notes because it's going to be useful. And you need to get this all set up so you have a winning system. That's question 3. Am I treating this like I am already a business owner? Am I installing all the things into my search that is going to help me win? Off market is not a better option. It's a sourcing channel, but as you heard Chris say, it's not a good channel, especially if you're a first time buyer. It's the blind leading the blind. I have a client right now who got a 2x multiple on over $1 million in adjusted SCE with some real estate. The dream, off market, right? 2x under offer in June of last year. He has still not closed because you're acting as broker and buyer when you don't know how to do either. It takes a very long time, and most people don't get to the finish line. You should be closing any day. We keep waiting, but it was supposed to be in November. It's tough. So you want an incentivized intermediary that knows what they're doing in the middle. Even if you don't like Mr. Broker, they're going to keep things moving, and they're going to be your best advocate once you get it under offer. You didn't lose a deal. You were never in the race. You've shown up to the World Series of Poker thinking you're going to get to the final table and win, never having played a hand. You're up against my team. You're up against everybody else in this room and all the others that are out there. You're up against private equity. You're up against people that have bought businesses before and strategic investors. I know, Chris Moneymaker, okay? It does happen. I'm showing my age here. Poker references, anyone? Okay. You got to train to win. You have to set yourself up for success. And the way you get better at poker is playing hands. So stop researching and start taking actions to actually learn and vet those theories that you have, which your deal box is a theory. So I told you about my $3 million lesson. I'll speed it up because I think I'm at time. I found ETA just like you, and I thought it was the best thing in the whole wide world. And I did everything I could to source businesses. I wasted time off market for a very long time by myself. And I ended up finding an off market deal that was in a city I'd never considered, that was in an industry I hadn't considered, that was an $8 million asking price, way above what I thought I could do at the time. And like you, or maybe not like you, but I started with the, gateway drug to business buying, like looking at laundromats and car washes too. But what I realized is I didn't see myself in those businesses. And I found this business that I was like, oh my God, this was literally made for me. I met the owners and we got along so well. Out of 14 offers, I was the only person that was allowed to meet the owners in person. The broker even loved me. I was a chosen buyer. And he said, Athena, we love you, but we need to know you can finance this deal. And I was like, wait, don't we figure this out after we get under LOI? No, Athena, there's other people with money. This is a big, big deal. Okay, go to my lender, get him to sign you off. Go to the lender, and he's like, well, this is an airball and like over SBA limits. I didn't even know any of that stuff at the time. You need $3 million. And I was like, cool, I can raise $3 million. So I go to the broker. Broker, I know you guys think I am like the best buyer for this deal. So I just need to raise $3 million. So I just need you guys to give me some time. At the time, that's how audacious I was, that I thought that was going to go over well. And he's like, Athena, there's other offers. People have money. There's great buyers in the mix. Like, I'll give you till Wednesday. It was Friday before Labor Day weekend. So I was like, okay, I got nothing to lose now. I went out that weekend, worked my ass off. Come 5 p.m. Tuesday night, got my final commitment, signed, sealed, delivered over to the lender, $3 million from investors, ready to go for this deal. Lender says, this is a deal I want to be a part of. I was like, well, you tell the broker, told the broker, thought it was a shoe in. Long story short, someone came in $2 million enterprise value more than I did. The owners actually deliberated about this too, God bless them. They chose the higher offer. Knowing what I do now, I could have structured it to match that offer and we wouldn't even be here today, or I'd be up here as an operator. This system was not set up for first timers to win. Okay, so you need to surround yourself with as much information. You got to learn as much as you can. I was the right owner of that business, but I was the wrong buyer. So, what all you need to commit to is becoming the right buyer and the right owner at the same time. It's a big piece to chew off. Asking yourself, am I wired for this? Do I have the right fit? What's my match? And do I have a winning system? The 2% who close aren't luckier, they just set themselves up to win. So I'm going to leave you with some gifts. You can scan that QR code, the assessment that you just took, a deal velocity scorecard so you can assess yourself on whether you're moving quick enough and whether you're doing enough at volume, and start identifying those bottlenecks in your process to iterate on. There's an EQ playbook. I didn't even get to the EQ side of things, but oh my God, it's so big. So Will, who's not here, and I hosted some webinars on acquiring minds for EQ. You can go and watch that. But most of you are showing up like an asshole, and they don't choose you for that too. So on top of all the technicalities you need to learn, you also need to learn how to sell, negotiate, and be a likable person. And lastly, the setting the destination exercise. If you don't know where you're going in your life, you are going to get lost. It is not going to be an enjoyable journey. And I cannot tell you how many people can't picture what happy life looks like for them. So, this exercise is my bit of woo that I will leave you with that is essential, because when you know where you're going, then it's much clearer how to get there. And yeah, the journey might change and the destination might adjust, but I can picture what my happy life looks like. So every choice I make in life helps me either move towards that or move away from that. Before starting your search, you need to picture that. And if you have a spouse, you need to make sure that they have the same vision. So that's my time. I think we have time for questions. I might have gotten a little ranty there, but hopefully this was useful for you all. I do not want you all to fail as searchers like I did. So please use all the resources. Come and ask me questions if you need to. Do we have time for questions? Are we over? Okay, we got time for questions. Yes, sir.